Well, that's all that cookie crumbled. Hello, Homestead Bound Bear. Yeah, my my mom sent a gift. So I have a cousin, my aunt's son. Yeah, a cousin. He's 17 years old, I believe, and he works at a toy. Um, it's like a flea market. It's like a flea market, and he runs a booth at a flea market with toys. Hello, Charles. CCC style. Creative Copy Challenge. Creative Copy Challenge. So what does that mean? What does that mean? So I made myself a little horse food here. I don't know if you can tell by looking at the bottom. That's muesli mixed with walnuts, pecans, cashews, pistachios. Yep, and muesli. Oh, you're supposed to use some milk with your muesli. I'm going to eat it dry, like a horse. Like a horse. I have no idea, guys. Sometimes you just have no idea. Yep, got some pecans. Oh, yeah. That's one thing that a horse doesn't have to worry about. A beard. Oh, yeah, it's fantastic. All right, so, oh, that's such a great idea. Definitely make your own trail mix. Okay. So here's what we're gonna do. Don't say Shapiro. Okay. We'll go. Here we go. So Creative Copy Challenge, the way that it works is you guys provide me words, okay? And I'm going to tell you a story with, so the first 10 words, well, no, let's do 10. We'll start with 10. So give me 10 words, the first 10 words, make it into the story. Oh, that one's good, Charles. The original Pale Ale by Boulevard. It's belevered. No, it isn't. It's belevered. It's good. It's nice. Word one. Boomer. All right. So you got. I hate that stupid. You can't hear it that loud though. It's all good. All right. So word two. Challenging. First 10 words make it into the story. Hi, boy, mime bear. Hello, cold as ice bear. Of course, homestead bound bear. And Charles. Hello, creative bear. Welcome. All right, savage. I'm no longer based. That's how I know you watched it. All of a sudden, there's going to be a movement of bears being like, based is bad. It's cool, creative bear. I'm glad you watched it. That, that obviously brings a smile on my face. So we read the book of Romans this morning. I think the first 6 chapters, if I'm not mistaken, and it was a very good experience. So for context, I've been awake since um, exactly 13 hours. 13 hours. Sometimes I feel like God made pistachios just for me. All right, we're at 8 words, guys. We're at 8 words. I still need 2 more words. I'm gonna take that back to elementary school. Y'all better wait. All right. All right. So check this out. Yeah. Walnuts. I love walnuts. Pecans. I don't like as much. Um, as a as a kid, I used to love Brazil nuts. They're the worst thing in the world to me nowadays. Cashews, I think, are great. I seem to be drawn to those. Thanks for those moments. Charles keeps on telling me about all these afros. So my joke is I must be subconsciously drawn to them. All right, before I get started on the story, I just thought it'd be necessary to tell everybody I've I've exceeded in the year of 2020. I've done more push-ups this year than all the years of my life put together. So I'm turning 35 this year. So in the 34, yeah, I guess how does yeah, you're 0 until you're 1. So in the 34 and a half years of my life, 34 and a half years total because I have a June birthday. If you added all the push-ups I ever did, I've done more in the past 48 days than all the other days and years or everything put together. In regards to push-ups, I broke 1,000 a couple days ago. 1,000 down, 67,000 to go. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Oh, thank you. Um, I don't think actually, uh, except for special ops. Every now and then I still get a question, even with the beard. People still ask, "Hi, in the military?" I'm like, "Are you blind?" If I was, do you think I could tell you? No disrespect. You guys know I'm not in the military. But I've heard that special ops they get to do whatever they want. All right. So I don't think that I don't think you all need to see the words. Unless you want to see the words. You guys tell me. I think we'll keep this big face. Got it. It slowly but surely. I'm hoping it eventually affects my core. You see that jiggle? Yeah. No, it actually has affected that the thing with the belly button. Thanks, Fundamental Bear. Appreciate that. Nope, you're not late. Just we're just getting started. Wow, triple lemon and an ice cream. Appreciate you. All right. So real quick, thank you again. Here's the words. Look at that. I can't. I can't coordinate. I can't do it with two cameras. Um, yeah, I don't know. Doesn't matter. Boomer challenging, fantastic baby peaches, savage, based, growing, wean, garden. I am going to tell you a story. So crank up your fire. Don't do that necessarily. Won't be responsible for people having a house fire. Wow, Goose. Hey, Goose. Deus Vult. Deus Vult. Intensifying. Welcome, Goose. Long time no see. That's tasty. I got a little horse food in me, aka muesli with mixed nuts. I'm not sure that a horse would eat. Well, maybe a horse would eat muesli. It's oatmeal and a couple of raisins. And anyway, I'm going to move on. I've got a chai tea that I just recently finished, and then I've got this pale ale that I'm working on. I'm going to tell you a story. So turn on the metaphorical fire, grab yourself a Linus blanket. If you're not familiar with Linus, that'd be the Bravo. Actually, interestingly enough, Charlie Brown wasn't an alpha. Linus might have been the alpha. I think Charlie Brown was actually the Bravo. I don't know. That's a hard call. It's a hard call. All right, so we've got those 10 words. We're going to start a story. I possibly will incorporate some of the comments in the story, but we're just going to go for it. Snoopy was the alpha. It's a hard one to argue. Very true. Wonder who the gamma was. Lucy? Can a woman be? I don't know if women enter into the higher pay at all. I don't know. Peppermint Patty was like a bumbling gamma. I don't know. I don't really care. I care about this story. I care about this story. So, speaking of names, you see, there was this boomer. This boomer and his wife. We'll call this boomer Steve. Steve the boomer. We all know that Steve wasn't named Steve at birth. He was named Steven. Steven Finkelmeyer. Well, good old Steven Finkelmeyer, he was a relatively honorable man. He was 73 years old. This is the future. It's not now. This is the future. Steve Finkelmeyer, 73-year-old boomer. What year would that put it? Is that 10 years in the future, guys? Help me out if I'm doing any anachronisms or anything like that, but let's say we're just 10 years in the future. Nice. Well, Steve Finkelmeyer, he had a dream. You see, he watched, let me adjust my glasses for clarification. He watched with his very own two eyes when men, or a man, or more than one man, made the first imprintations with their feet on the surface of the moon. He saw that. He saw that with his own two eyes. He said, I was in high school and they done wheeled in the TV slowly, suspensefully. Lo and behold, they turned that TV on, and there it was. I got to see it live right when it happened. No delay. The same day. It wasn't a recording, It's a live transmission right in my classroom. Yes, this would be Steve Finkelmeyer, who got to see the moon landing with his own two eyes. He married his high school sweetheart. This boomer, he was the most legendary of boomers. Kind of hurts your feelings to call him a boomer, but nonetheless, Steve Finkelmeyer was indeed a boomer. See, he'd overcome many challenges in his life. One of the things that was most challenging was not finding and convincing his high school sweetheart to marry him. It wasn't getting the job of his dreams and working 40 hours every single week for 40 years to ultimately retire making $40,000 after all those years. No, although that was part of what made him legendary. You see, sticking things through to the end, finding out what it's like to be faithful, it's lost. It's a thing. It's a thing lost on our generation these days. It was all but lost with the boomers. But he, Steve Finkelmeyer, this man, he took notes. He took notes when he observed his parents, the silent generation. He said, "They get it. They know what they're doing. I'm going to do that too." And he did. Apple didn't fall too far from the tree with Steve Finkelmeyer. Well, back to the most challenging thing in Steve Finkelmeyer's life. You know, he got the girl, got the job, he got the house, he got the car. In fact, in fact, guess what? This boomer, he only had debt one time in his entire life, Steve Finkelmeyer. This one, no, he didn't go to college. He didn't need to. He didn't need to go to college. He just stuck to it, stuck through it, made it to the end, made it all the way to retirement. But again, he had a lifelong dream. He saw that moon landing with his own two eyes, and he knew that if he could, if he tried hard enough, if he set his mind to it, he would ultimately be one of the men to set foot on the moon. Well, one of the most challenging aspects about Steve Finkelmeyer's unending desire to fulfill his dream was little known detail, and it is little known, that the moon wasn't what he thought it was. No, he didn't know that then. He didn't know that now. But you see, with the fantastic advances of technology, all right, I've got to take a pause real quick and say hello to some people. Chocolate, what's up, man? Glad you're here. Um, Pulling out all kinds of people. Um, if anybody can help me out in the chat to give context for what in the world I'm doing tonight, um, then feel free to do that. I just saw the number go from 14 to 8. So, whoa. Um, Thanks, Charles. All right. See, what I was saying is, you got it. Due to the fantastic advances in technology, in research, in understanding the nature of gravity, You see, what had happened was Steve, he had spent his whole life paying attention. He was writing letters since he was a young boy. To who better than the authorities on the subject? You see, he had been a pen pal for over 50 years at this point. He'd been writing letters back and forth, receiving letters too, from our friends over at NASA. Now, Steve Finkelmeyer, over the years, guys, Steve Finkelmeyer had probably written at least 2 letters every month for over 50 years. You can do the math, but I'd say that's a little over 1,200 letters that good old Steve Finkelmeyer wrote. That adds up. You see, he was well known. He had been writing letters through 3 generations of employees at NASA. There were people that had heard stories about Steve Finkelmeyer from the beginning, all the way from the beginning. So he had somewhat of a reputation. When it came time in 2030 to elect one of our fine citizens for a vacation, all expenses paid, to the moon, who do you think they chose? Well, you see, it wasn't that easy. Everybody at NASA, they knew who was going to go. Could they just tell the world, hey, this guy wrote us 1,200 letters over the course of 51 years? No. No, that's not the MO at NASA. They want things to be a little bit more fair than that, a little bit more diplomatic. So they had to provide at least the appearance of a careful consideration. So you know what they did? They knew exactly what to do because those guys over at NASA, well, they're no surgeons. They don't know brain surgery. But they do know rocket science. Nobody knows rocket science better than those fellas over at NASA. And rocket science applies to letter writing and the sociology of people in ways that only a baby could understand. Have you ever heard a baby talk? I have. 3, plus countless others, but I'm only keeping track of my own. We'll move on. It's okay. It's just the top of the hour. Nothing to be alarmed by. No pun intended. Steve Finkelmeyer had written over 1,200 letters to this organization. Everyone knew him. There were, of course, a few that didn't, but apart from those janitors and otherwise, most everybody knew his name. He was the talk of the town from time to time, and a few people looked forward to his letters. What did NASA do? Like I was saying before, NASA had a writing contest. Yes, they did. You probably already guessed it, but they thought of that all on their own. They didn't need help from brain surgeons. Nope. They are rocket scientists. They don't even know how to say science. That's how scientific they are. They prefer the word scientism, but that's neither nor how. Therefore art thou. And we shall move on. I did mention baby talk, right? All right, just for clarification. Steve Finkelmeyer got a personal letter from NASA letting him know about the writing contest. And of course, it was televised, publicized, and propagandized across the entire nation. United States citizens only. You must have a United States citizenship, and you must be no less than, you guessed it, 18 years of age, be in good bodily health. But they worked out the details, and they found a way to exit the exit velocity of Earth without exceeding 3 Gs. Pretty fancy, futuristic technology, guys. Now, with that said, some people already have their doubts, but that's okay. You see, with this new technology, NASA's claim is that instead of just taking a parabolic arch from the coast of Florida, perhaps, directly into directly into the atmosphere. I don't know why I said Bermuda. Instead of taking a parabolic arch and going straight up to exit the atmosphere, no, 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 no. New plan. NASA developed a new method where they would leave the ground horizontally, like but like an airplane. And they would circle the globe. They have a new fuel technology that allows them to do this. And they would circle the globe, getting higher and higher and higher and higher, slowly but surely, exiting that fun atmosphere without a container. Well, it was all peaches and cream. That was the plan, at least. That was the story. That was the innovation that NASA was sharing with the people that were participating and entering into this contest. Steve Finkelmeyer, he didn't know. He didn't know that he was the one to be chosen, so he put his greatest effort he ever did into that letter. 500-word limit, of course. Can't make these things too long. It's a lot of entries. Out of the 15 million people that qualified for this NASA uh, contest, they had a total number of entries of 112. True story. In the future, of course. In the future, of course. So out of 15 million potential applicants, 112 applied and wrote letters. No more than 500 words. Pretty impressive. Pretty impressive show out, if you ask me. But nobody's asking me at this time. I just figured I'd share my story there. So, Steve, the boomer, he wrote his letter with all his heart, with all his soul. You might say he wrote that letter with all his might, that he just might be the one. Well, you know how stories go. They chose him. They chose him for this extraordinary event, this hallmark of an event where an all expenses paid trip to the moon, I might add, for a normal citizen, an everyman, an everyman's man, Steve Finkelmeyer, someone that just about anybody that had integrity, heart, charisma, cared half as much about the least thing and twice as much about the most thing. Steve Finkelmeyer. You see, when he found out that he won that contest, you would have thought that he didn't qualify. He sat down, he looked his wife in the face. He said, "Honey, I'm going to the moon." She was never more proud of her husband than that moment, because she too, though we don't really talk about it too much, she too was indeed a boomer. But that's okay. So Steve, they told him, pack lightly. We've got everything taken care of. They gave him an unlimited card and had him walk straight through Disney. I mean, straight through the NASA store so he could pick out any clothing he wanted: shirts, jackets, pants, moon boots. Steve was walking on cloud nine. In fact, right when he was about to get to those moon boots, I kid you not, there was an 11-year-old child standing right there at those moon boots, just looking at them, admiring them, much like he would have, much like he would have shortly before the moon landing in 1969. When he was 11, he would have been that kid right there. But you know what Steve did? Caught up in the moment, grasping the moment, seeing the minutes of his life tick away closer and closer to the end, knowing that he must go on this journey. He must go to the moon. It was only right that he go to the moon. He caught up in the moment so much. Steve. Steve Finkelmeyer. The man with the last name of Finkelmeyer that you'd never imagine doing anything out of place whatsoever. Like a savage beast. Picks the kid up, the 11-year-old child, by the shoulders. Picks him up, sets him back down. Get out of here, kid. That's exactly what he said to him. Then he proceeded to check out the moon boats. I know. Gotta keep it kid friendly. You were thinking I might have said he was going to do something else, but Steve Finkelmeyer was a relatively honorable man. He wasn't going to harm the child, just inappropriately reposition the child. Enough that would make a parent probably strangle him. But he did look around briefly before doing so, and it appeared that he got away with it. And you know how NASA is. Well, maybe you don't. I know I don't. But I have a feeling they had people watching. And they were rooting him on. They were rooting him on. They were so proud of good old Steve, the legend of NASA, Steve Finkelmeyer. No, Steve was an honorable man for the most part. There's all these other based boomers that live lives complete debauchery. They've done so many Gamoran activities in their lifetime you just wouldn't even imagine. Just wasted life. They snorted enough sand from the Sahara Desert to clog a big pipe. What are you going to do? I don't know why boomers snort sand. You can turn it into a metaphor and make sense of it somehow, I'm sure. Sure you could, if you thought about it hard enough. But don't think about it too hard. We don't want anybody having a problem. Well, time was coming. Closer and closer. Steve Finkelmeyer, got all the clothes, got all the goodies, got the fancy pants. They hooked him up with a 100% authentic moon suit. Oh, yes, they did. He had his astronaut uniform ready, good to go. They even made him a special Steve F. patch just for him. Oh, and you you wouldn't believe they saved every single one of those letters. No, they lost the telemetry data, but Steve Finkelmeyer's letters, they had his first letter, his second letter, and every letter all the way back from 1969 all the way to the year 2030. They never took more careful care of anything than the Steve Finkelmeyer letters. Did they know when they got that first letter that they would be saving it forever? No. How could they? Only logic. You would never assume that you would just save a child's letter. Fate, though. Fate. Exactly the same as the telemetry data that they completely disposed of. It all just goes back to fate. So, Steve, as the time was getting close, they were situating his goods, getting him ready, getting him strapped in. He was going with a team of real astronauts. Steve Finkelmeyer, he was as giddy as a child. He was so excited. He said, when I was growing up, I just used to think about you guys and think maybe that'll be me one day. And here I am. Steve was so proud. You guys, Steve was so proud and so out of sorts, guys. Steve Finkelmeyer was so out of sorts that when they were helping him get his you know, his outfit, yeah, we'll call it that. He looked at one of the guys that was helping him out, and he just went back to childhood all of a sudden. It was just a weird little situation that just popped into his head. He said, "Hey, pull my ween," and he held his elbow. He, he held his elbow out. The man looked at him. He looked around and was like, "No, do it, do it, do it, do it." And he was like, "Oh, oh, uh, no, thank you. It's okay." Steve Finkelmeyer, he was a simple man. Like I said, honorable, a little strange. And he did catch that guy off guard when he asked him to pull his ween. It's a little awkward. But thankfully, he pulled on his elbow and everything was okay again. Well, you know what comes next. Everybody's strapped in. Everybody's ready to go. Ready for the journey. It's a momentous occasion. It just is. Just is because I said so. Steve Finkelmeyer, the man, the myth, the legend of NASA, sitting in the chair, getting ready for blast off. His whole life, flashing before his eyes. He, in his mind, going way back to childhood. He's thinking about digging in the garden as a kid. He's thinking about playing in the playpen. He's going all through his life, from the baby stages all the way up to just a few moments when he was writing that letter for the contest. And now he's here. He's thinking to himself, How did I do this? This has to be a miracle. It has to be a miracle that I'm here. It must be. This is too good to be true. This is too good to be true. And he heard it. He heard the engines click on. Roaring, roaring engines, making the loudest noise he ever did hear, even with his hearing protection. Well, Steve Finkelmeyer, he braced himself, gritted his teeth just a tad, just a tad. Liftoff. Gentle, yet quick. Smooth, yet fast. He got to see a little image. They had a television screen showing him the whole process. You see, this television screen showed him every step of the way of where they were and what they were doing. It's just fantastic. What it did is it showed a picture of a big, fat globe. It's fantastic. It looked so real. He couldn't have mistaken it for the real thing. He couldn't have even mistaken it for the real thing. Not sure what that means, but we'll go with it. They showed a tiny little X in white as to stand out, demonstrating where they were. And then way off in the distance, the moon, where they were going, on the TV screen. So he circles the Earth, and he falls asleep. It takes hours, guys. They're only going so fast. It takes time to build up those speeds to keep the G's low. Got to keep the G's low. Around, around. He wakes up. They bring him some food. He looks. It's that far off of Earth. Just so close. Just getting ready. Just getting ready to make a beeline path for the moon. It's amazing. At this point, he can't even hear the engines anymore, and that's how he knows. That's how he knows that he's in outer space. They're not even moving. At least that's the way that it feels. Just like when you're standing here on the ground. It's like we can't feel that we're moving. It's amazing. And that's exactly what Steve Finkelmeyer felt when he was all the way up there in outer space. Now he did think to himself momentarily, have you? He thought, feels a kind of heavy. I thought the things kind of floated around. Well, my friends, this is NASA. Oh, ye of little faith. This is NASA. They established artificial gravity a long time ago. You see, what they do is they put a ribbon of antimatter nanotubes. They turn that on by shooting refracted light through these anti-gravity nanotubes. They shoot refracted light into these tubes, and that initiates the artificial gravity. A force that pulls everything down to a central location, but not central if it's a nice smooth ribbon at the bottom of the spaceship that's flying through outer space on the way to the moon. And that's exactly what he got to see, Mr. Steve Finkelmeyer, on that screen as they made their way straight to the moon. He's flying and flying, falls asleep again. They said it'll be a while. It's going to take us a little bit to get there. You rest assured, we'll get there. All right, guys. I see those numbers have been all over the place. So maybe I'll stop that story and move on to a new one. Maybe catch up on some comments, see what happened. I guess maybe I lost some people. Not everybody likes story time. People are like, I got stuff to do. Like scroll on Instagram and on on on. I got stuff to do. I got social medias on Pentagram. I'm sorry, did you just say pentagram? No, I said Pinterest. Did you mean to say Instagram? No, man, I meant to say Pinterest. You said pentagram, but I said Pinterest. Snapchat, a Pinstagram. Um, Not a big fan of social media stuff, guys. Except for this, of course. Oh, Charles had to go. What time is it? I see. I see. Oh. Um, Why, thank you for those moments. And thank you for all the other lemons and fun things. Um, can we purchase Mason privilege? That's an interesting idea, Fighting Bear. Very fascinating. Um, that story lasted a long time. That was like a 30-minute story. Man, time flies. Time can really fly, guys. That was fun. Thank you, Fundamental Bear. That's a Guy Fieri sound clip. And I think it's hysterical. I totally think that one is hilarious. Thank you, Fundamental Bear, for the comment and the diamond. I gotta be honest with you. I don't even remember all the words, but that is just such a funny. I found that and I was just like, wow, that is the best gravy audio clip on the internet right now. Um, don't need much science when rockets are just going in the ocean. Yep. It only could cost a cool 60 million daily. That is, it's clearly worth it. Oh yeah, absolutely. It's just 25,000 miles per hour escape velocity. No biggie. You got it. Um, Love the double camera effect, bro. Very 24-ish. One of my favorite shows. Oh, interesting. I've only watched like 2 episodes of that show. Don Pettit. I do think it's funny to call him Don Petite though, instead of Pettit. Um, Don Petite is far more funny, especially if you understand that petite is little or small in French. It's just funny. To the 60s, that is. The 60s, where the showers, sobriety, and monogamy were our main enemies. Don't don't be mean, Dwayne. Cloud making engines. Cloud making. Very fascinating subject. Um, slow yet fast. Fast yet slow. Don't forget the particle sensors. Um, Stomach flu is terrible. So I'm not sure what is Gahay, Homestead Bound Bear. I don't know if you're saying that because I didn't finish the story exactly. I Alfred Hitchcocked it, guys. I Alfred Hitchcocked it. You knew exactly where that was going. You knew exactly where that was going. Oh no, that took, believe it or not, it actually took a little bit of mental juice to put that one together. That was a good exercise. That was a good exercise. You would have almost thought um, that I had just like done a massive workout or something, right? Having to special ops. That's pretty funny. Well, guys, we could take this in a lot of different decorations tonight. And by decorations, you know I mean directions. Keep up. Keep up. All right, let's do it again then. Nobody's saying anything. I know the stream's behind time and stuff. I don't think it's that far behind time. Just so you know, though, there's all the words, and yes, I did use all of the words in not in ways that you might have expected, and that's the fun thing about Creative Copy Challenge. Excuse me. In fact, let me do this. Let me do this. This will be very interesting. Don't don't go away too quickly. Wait for the gravy. So, Creative Copy Challenge. VR jump. Let me see if I can just find myself. Huh. No way. They're still doing it? Whoa. They stopped for years. Somebody got this thing cranked back up. Creative Copy Challenge wordpress.com. We need to go to like, how do I find the old ones? Advanced. Yes, proceed. Um, archives. Woo wee. Okay, here. So check this out. This is Creative Copy Challenge. It's just a very simple website, but way back when, ya boy wasn't a boy. I was a man then, but you know how it is. So this would have been here. Yeah, 105. That's my times. Um, yep. So I've got to somehow find. Can you look up by users? That's what I want to find. Community links. Here we go. Wow. As of 6/12/12. So they didn't update this for the last 8 years. So only people that did this before 2012 would be on this list. And There I am. So I had an alter, Mr. McMillan. Um, yes, just no, I'm not doing any of that. No, no, I'm not adding up an extension. Just, can I ignore you? I don't, no, stop it. I don't want any of that nonsense. Go away. I'm not doing that. Ew. I don't know what the problem was there. Was that Mr. McMillan? No, I ain't doing that. Ooh, that's okay. It doesn't matter because I can get to it from here, I'm pretty sure. All right, so I did what would happen is people would post, they would write their creative copy challenge on their own blog and then share a link. Um, so let's go back to one of my first ones, 93, 75, 70. This was years ago, guys. So May of 2010. May of 2010. And sometimes it was obviously phrases. Okay. So do you know, push, something more, quest, phony, perfect, remember, devil, scene, waste. And I was always interested in writing as short as possible. Um, and this is a funny story too. I'll share with you my Kickstarter idea that I had way back when. I didn't make anything, but I had ideas. I had ideas. All right, so check this out. For a second, I thought you were blaming Creative Bear. Here's what I imagined happening. I imagined that Creative Bear prayed for your daughters to get better, and then all of a sudden they didn't. They got worse. That's what I imagined, but that isn't what happened. So that's good. But Lord willing, that your daughters are going to be, or children, daughter, son, whatever the case. Froze moments, daughters. Your children are going to be fine. In Jesus' name. Do you know how to push something more than just a quest for a phony product? Try backing something with meaning, something new, something perfect. Do you remember as a kid when you reached your hand into the cookie jar and mother slapped the devil out of your behind, causing such a scene? Don't waste a minute and check out Devin's sugarless organic cookies. Except it's supposed to be pronounced organic cookies. And you won't have to worry about anyone slapping your hand for supporting a creative buddy of yours. I took a creative copy challenge and I turned it into a commercial for my own Kickstarter because I was that much of a self-promoting person. I had two backers. I didn't know I had two backers. That's that's my wife and myself. Let's see the little picture. Married 25-year-old. How dare you? Yeah, that was 10 years ago, guys. Um, I don't remember having two backers. Who were the backers? Oh, I guess you can't see that kind of thing, especially all these years later. I'm amazed that this is even saved. But yes, I wanted to do a non-artificial, completely organic, sugarless cookie. Uh, and yeah, so that was the idea. And I mean, I did have a couple of people ask me questions and interact and all that, but um, so what backer level? Yeah, I had two $10 backers. Interesting. One of them was probably my dad or something. That definitely happened. So anyway, so yeah, I wrote a commercial basically for that. I posted both links. That's funny. All right, let's tell you another one. Um, So this is obviously the idea that I had. Um, the idea that I had for tonight came from this thing that I used to do, and my wife and I both did this creative copy challenge, and I'm just amazed that it still exists and they're still doing it. Very, very cool. And then there's the legendary original team of about 323 people that look at all my comments. How do I change my icon? You have to go to gravatar.com, you noob. Great, I think I did it. He's making fun of himself with a weird voice of himself from 10 years ago? Yes, he is. Well, maybe it takes time before it works. It's working. When you refresh your browser, you see the change. If possible, I'd like my website changed. Devin, I changed your website link. Anyway, I always like to get involved in the fringe, like little niche things. Like way back when Xanga was a thing. That was a blogging website, and I really liked that. It was before Facebook, after MySpace, but before Facebook. Xanga, and people would write blogs, and it was like a MySpace, but was more blog type, and it was really cool. People actually used to write. Excuse me. See my entire name there. Oh my gosh. How dare you read my name? How dare you? I can't find Mr. McMillan number 1. I see number 2. Number 3. Oh, there's number 1. Okay. So I'll just go for it, I guess. Anyway, sleepy ascend, acidic sugar retain, contract, outdated, comment, estimate, original. Let me tell you something. Mr. McMillan stated firmly, I am not allowing myself to fall into a sleep beyond my control. Yet I allow myself to ascend above myself, drifting apart from within my mind. Mr. McMillan was more than your average ontologist that one might be familiar with. He was the original student of self and being. Mr. McMillan was speaking at the vastness of an undefined white expanse with no knowledge of an entity that would listen to him. There was a light sounding surrounding Wow. There was a light sound surrounding him that resembled a slight breeze that would rustle through the branches of a forest of pines, serving as the only response to his statement. Mr. McMillan believed that he was truly in control of his own faculties. However, this would prove to be no more than another delusion of the place he had entered. It frustrated him that the only response to his comment was that of an unknown origin. He continued to assess his surroundings, begging for something to prove itself to him, and a flavor made its way to his mouth. Ascorbic acid was the element he noticed, something of quite an acidic nature, he believed. When life gives you lemons, just add water and sugar, is what I always say. Mr. McMillan once again attempting to retain a sense of accompaniment. I was never sleepy. I am much more an aware man than that. I am not incapable of recognizing what you are doing to me. A brilliant thought instantly struck him as if to knock him out of his previous dialogues. The realization was in what he had just said by saying the word you. The ability to recognize the boundaries of his current setting became very present. He was in a room. White noise was indeed what he was hearing. There was still no determinable source for the light that made his room so blatantly white, but he knew now that he was indeed in a room, laying on what gravity determined to be the ground. Yeah, guys, I used to believe in gravity. Don't spiral. Was a document that would later be determined as a contract. The contract was outdated so far as he could estimate, including language that was barely intelligible. Mr. Macmillan number 2. Agony, double, frozen, instant, motion, oval, royal, rule, sorry, track. Mr. Macmillan number 2. In agony that he could not decipher the present situation, Mr. Macmillan took a double take of his surroundings. He became frozen by the grandness of what he saw, and in that instant, as his eyes made motion upwards, he found sight of the sky. Somehow Mr. Macmillan had not noticed what surrounded him due to the soft, reflective surfaces on both sides of the road in front of his alleged home. The road was merely a facade and somehow contained a content capable of suspending objects on and within it, but also had the appearances as one could fall right through it, somewhat transparent. As he looked through it, there was no apparent end downward, neither when he looked up could he find anything to understand where he was in relation to anything else. No bearings. The oval-shaped interactive display suddenly announced, 5 minutes till lockdown. All who are outside will be inside. Although startled by the message, Mr. Macmillan found people around looking at him a special way, as they drifted by him in some form of a hovering chair. They made these curious circle-like gestures, somehow giving him the feeling that there was something royal about himself. For if there was anything Mr. Macmillan knows, it would be that he had never had rule over any person, place, or thing. Thank you, Creative Bear. So it came as quite a shock that anyone would look at him with due respect. Sorry to inform you that I am not who you think I am, sir, he voiced to the interactive display, hesitant to speak to a machine with such a human term. As he voiced his opinion on the matter of the interactive display, he began to admit some form of communication Mr. Macmillan was not familiar with, but yet was supremely comforted by. Unfortunately, the information was proceeding at a speed much too quick for Mr. Macmillan to track. He could sense an overall feeling of peace and protection began to sink inside of his alleged home, not through a door, but perhaps through a substance that made up its walls. Once again, Mr. Macmillan fell into a deep, deep sleep. That was written in 2010, August. We'll do one more and then I'll change the topic. Unless you all want me to keep reading, in which case, say so. But this is a 25-year-old's writings. Ew, 25. I'm just kidding, guys. Written in August of 2010 on a Thursday. Surreptitious, blithering. You want me to crank it up? I'll crank it up. You could have done that a long time ago. How dare you? Surreptitious, blithering, eagle, undulating, kibosh, lamb, larynx, capitulate, seraphim, tan. Yes, I had to look some of these words up. Yes, I did. Mr. Macmillan, number 3. While Mr. Macmillan was sleeping, he often found himself imagining to be an eagle. Although the idea of imagining oneself as a creature is not in and of itself odd, it was the detail of which his dreams always contained that was remarkable. Mr. Macmillan would soon discover in and outside of sleep that he was a very special individual. In the air, he soared higher above the clouds than any other creature, including those of his kind. The flutter of his wings, for instance, was very powerful, undulating the sky itself. He reflected on where it was he was leaving from and going to, and learned that he was on the lam from a very dark, conniving creature, and seeking out solace in the cherubim and seraphim above. Mr. Macmillan was not sure why he led such a surreptitious life, nor why his own life had been shrouded from his awareness. Some details would insinuate that Mr. Macmillan had subconsciously done these things in order to protect himself. The truth was nonetheless still hidden. In order to further decipher the meaning of his dream, Mr. Macmillan decided to put the kibosh on the current first person perspective of the flying creature, while allowing it to still, I don't know what that word means, guys. I'm gonna have to look that up. I knew 10 years ago. We forget things. I don't know what that word means. Informal, a check to stop, an end or a stop to something. I don't speak Yiddish. It sounds Yiddish to me. Put the kibosh, or probably could have said put a kibosh. It doesn't matter. On the current first person perspective of the flying creature while allowing it to still happen for the purpose of analysis. As he stepped outside of himself, he was required to capitulate his majestic role and began to see the bird as if it were on a movie screen, but yet much more lifelike and realistic. He discovered that his own heart very much associated with the bird, even from this new perspective, and he couldn't understand why his own complexion was so foreign. Mr. Macmillan was a tall man, not so tall that he was a social anomaly, but rather a height of authority. He did not have the feathers that he often dreamt of having, but rather a bold tan appearance that spoke both to a non explicit origin and comfortable familiarity to people of all kinds. He was often annoyed at the blithering comments made of those around himself. However, he was a very empathetic, or sorry, however, he was a very empathic and caring person. Mr. Macmillan also had a strange mark on his throat, as if to suggest that he had at one time or another gone through a reconstructive enhancement of the larynx, all details of which contained the likelihood of confounding any conclusions one would make of the man. He was indeed convincing himself, as he watched himself as a bird, that life really should be more like this, that our relationship with the world around us should be just what he saw, impacting. He saw the influence of the waves created by the force of his wings, and it amazed him. As he thought he heard his own words, as if they were being spoken to him. Such fascinating things could not just be fantasy. There has to be some meaning behind it all, and what use would it be otherwise? Once again, Mr. Macmillan drifted off into an even deeper sleep. I had a lot of fun with making up Mr. Macmillan, and I don't know what you guys think about. I don't know what I was about to say there. I thought I could turn it into something. I thought I could turn it into a book. You know, I had subtle aspirations, but I think I pretty much stopped there. This was all before I was done with my master's degree. Apparently, I stopped in 2010. Amazing. Excuse me. So I think I made a couple of different. So we've got these are blogs that I haven't touched in years, but they still exist on the internet. Oh my gosh. There's no way that still exists. I wonder if it does. Google, this was before YouTube, guys. This was before YouTube. Video.google.com. Guys. 2006. Pre-Google video link. Back when video.google.com was a thing. It's hilarious. And it's a Second Life video. No telling. I don't know if it was of myself or something else. Yeah. It's talking about Blue Like Jazz, blah blah blah. I was a bleeding heart, I think is what they call them. A hopeless romantic. The Hebrew humor thing is hilarious. I'll share that with you guys because it's pretty funny. Really, everybody's gone. I lost everybody. It's fine. Well, if anybody watches this in the future, we'll just go with it. It's all good. Abbott and Costello learn Hebrew. Did I really bore everybody that bad that every single person left? I'm gonna have PTSD from this morning. Everybody left me this morning too. Wow. I can't wait until I can brew some stuff like that. Such a clean flavor. Abbott and Costello learn Hebrew. Well, I froze moments. It seems that my counter says that there's only one person here. So I don't know what that means. I see you're here for your Hebrew lesson. I'm ready to learn. Now, the first thing you must understand is that Hebrew and English have many words which sound alike, but they do not mean the same thing. Sure, I understand. Now, don't be too quick to say that. How stupid do you think I am? Don't answer that. It's simple. Some words in Hebrew sound like English words in English, but they don't mean the same. Precisely. We have the word in English too. What does it mean in Hebrew? No, no, no. Precisely is an English word. I didn't come here to learn English. I came here to learn Hebrew. So make it with the Hebrew. Fine. Let's start with me. You need to see how they're spelled. You need to see how they're spelled there. Hey. All right. Fine. Let's start with me. You? No, me. Fine. We'll start with you. No, we'll start with me. Okay, have it your way. Now, me is who? You is Abbott. No, 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 no. Me is who? You is Abbott. You don't understand. I don't understand. Did you just say me is who? Yes, I did. Me is who? You is Abbott. No, you misunderstand what I'm saying. Tell me about me. Well, you're a nice enough guy. No, no, no. Tell me about me. Who? Precisely. Precisely what? Precisely who? It's precisely whom. No, me is who. Don't start that again. Go on to something else. Guys with numbers in their names are still here. Okay. That's funny. The 0 and the 8, I get it. That's pretty funny. All right. Who is he? Who is he? Yes. I don't know. Who is he? Sure you do. You just said it. I just said what? Who is he? Who is he? Precisely. Again with the precisely. Precisely who? No, precisely he. Precisely he? Who is he? Precisely. What about me? Who? Me. Who? What are you, an owl? Me? Who is me? No, who is he? I don't know. Maybe he is me. No, he is she. Do his parents know about this? About what? About her. What about her? That she is he. No, you've got it wrong. He is she. Then who is he? Precisely. Who? He. Me? Who? Get my voices mixed up. He? She. Who is she? No. Who is he? I don't care who is he. I want to know who is she. No, that's not right. How can it not be right? I said it. I was standing here when I said it. I know me. Who? Who? Precisely. Me? Me is that he you are talking about. He is me. No. He is she. Wait a minute. I'm trying to learn a little Hebrew. Now I can't even speak English. Let me review. Go ahead. Now first you want me now sorry. Now first you want to know me is who. Correct. And then you said who is he? Absolutely. And then you tell me he is she. Precisely. Precisely. Now look at this logically. If me is who and who is he and he is she, don't it stand to reason that me is she? Who? She. That is he. Who is he? Precisely. I've just like a Hebrew student or a Hebrew professor wrote this up to mimic the who's on first conversation. It is almost over though. The real who's on first goes for pages, guys. It goes for pages. The fact that they memorized that whole thing, those guys were legends. I have just about had it. You have me confused. I want to go home. You know what I want? Ma! What? I said ma. What? What are you, deaf? I want ma. What? Not what? Who? He. Not he. Ma is not he. Of course not. Who is he? I don't know. I don't know. I don't care. I don't care. Who is he? He is she. Me is who, ma is what. I just want to go home now and play with my dog. Fish. So if you're familiar with like the word dagog, you know that it's related to fish. So dog anyway. Anyway, dog is fish. Who is he? Ma is what? Anyway, if you learn some Hebrew, you'd be like, oh wow, that's hilarious and ridiculous. Um, yeah, I thought that Angels and Airwaves was not grabbled way back when. I you learn. Takes time. So I did actually write a number 4 for Mr. McMillan. Um, oh wow, that was number 4 that I read. So I never read number 1. So this will be like a prequel. Seeing as how I'm not. Oh, you're driving. I got you. Okay, well, there you go. Mr. McMillan, number 1, the prequel. This was written in July. The other one All the other ones were written several weeks later in August and September. Excuse me. So way back when, let me show you this real quick. I kept this picture that you see here on the screen. I kept that picture in my wallet for a long time. A long time. About 12 or 13 years, something like that. And then for a Christmas present one year, my parents had that um, painted. In fact, I believe it was Jiggly. And then, yeah, I think it was a Jiggly, which if you don't know what that is, don't worry about it. It doesn't matter. For all intents and purposes, think print, but painting. Again, just look up Jiggly, Giclee or something like that. It doesn't matter. But anyway, this picture sat in my wallet for over a decade, and then I had it painted. It's now a painting that I have, um, and I like it, and I think it's really cool. Moving on. Mr. Macmillan. The man heard the smooth, unfamiliar sound of an engine. It was neither far nor distant. Opening his eyes, he found himself curiously placed upon a narrow bridge, not wide enough for any car to drive over, and not exactly a pedestrian bridge. It's going to war against its knees. I always aim to win. Sometimes I capitulate. Excuse me. As he continued to observe his surroundings, an automated monitor flew overhead, displaying warning messages to exit the bridge immediately for the law and his own safety. The man had been asleep. It had become apparent and was dream. What? The man had been asleep. It had become apparent and was dreaming of the future as he imagined it. I think I had some typos in this one. In his dream, he stated, "What better is there that we should hope for what can tomorrow bring that we have not already imagined?" That is precisely when he woke up. To answer the question, something like the combination of Rip Van Winkle and the Twilight Zone had come. The man became continued. Wow. The man became aware that he was perhaps the master of this land, if he was in fact just dreaming. He continued conjecturing, "I shall become a legend. I will do tremendous things." So he stated, "I discover a hovering golden transport." And to his amazement, the monitor responded to him, "What size? Make it the largest one you have, and it better be well equipped." Within seconds, a large floating golden chariot swept him off his feet and rushed him to a towering building with no windows. The chariot spoke to him, "Your home, sir." The man replied, "No, no, this is not my house." But before he finished, the chariot had left him. There was an interactive display at the front door repeating the line, "I'm here to help. What is it you need?" The man said to the display, "It is time for me to wake. I would like to go home. Wake me up." The display promptly replied, "You are awake. You are home, Mr. Macmillan." Mr. Macmillan began to remember two realities: that he had memories both of that name, but also of a place much different than his present placement. Is this real? Is this what has to happen? I'm sorry. Is this real? Is this what has happened? How could I be me now, and yet things be so different, so foreign? He had come to the odd conclusion that it would be a hard journey to discovering his true identity, place, and future. So that was my first introduction to Mr. Macmillan. The other Hebrew thing, I did not make that up. Now, back in the day, I found pyramids of numbers to be very, 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 very strange. Very, very strange indeed. So I don't like gematria, but I still have always liked numbers. So I found this, and I thought that this was really, really weird. So let me share it with you now. All these years later, this is something I did in 2010. Let's see. These other ones were 06. I was still in college when I was writing that stuff. Um, what's my oldest post? My oldest post was August of 2006, which would have been my junior year of college, my third year of college, 2006. Yeah. Little bit of time back now. All right. Pyramid of squares of twos. 2 squared equals 4, or 4. Oh, let me scroll up. 22 squared equals 484, or 484. 222 squared equals 49,284, or dash 1 dash dash 2 dash dash. Now the dash dash is just to create an appropriate amount of space so that it all lines up appropriately, but you'll get the point. So here's the thing. If you take the number 2, it creates a pyramid. No matter how many times you square it, it always creates a pyramid. So you got 4, and then you have 4, 8, and then you have 4, 8, 12, 8, 4, and then you have 4, 8, 12, 16, 12, 8, 4, and then 22,222 squared is 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 16, 12, 8, 4. Now, how does that work? What's actually happening here? Let's go all the way down to the bottom one. 222,222 squared is equal to 49,382,617,284, or 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 20, 16, 12, 8, 4. How does this work? Well, let me show you. So what you have here is this is weird. I don't know if there's a space there. 2. Yeah. Okay, so it's fine. So what we have here is 24. Let's see. 2,400,000. So 2,400,000 plus whatever this number would be, which would be 20,200,000. And this would be 160 million, or no, 1.6 billion, 1.6 billion 160,000, something like that. And then 12 billion 120,000, or 12 billion 100, or 12,000. That's what that one is. And then the last one is 480 billion. No, I'm getting this way wrong. I'm way off. Hundreds, thousands, millions, billions, 12 billion. Anyway, I don't know how to talk, obviously, but if you look at it, if you're able to see it, numbers, guys, you'll get it. And then you'll be like, that is really strange. It's so weird. To me, it's weird. I think it's weird. It's interesting. But 11 is way easier. 1 squared is 1. 11 squared is 121. 111 squared is 12321. If you go to 111,111,111. That will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 written out. It's very fascinating. It's a chiasm. Another interesting one would be the 3. 3 is 09. 33 squared is 1089. 333 squared is 11. How do you say this? What is the trick? There's always a 10, there's always an 8, there's always a 9, except for an 8 is added and a 1 is added. Oh, another 1 and another 8, another 1 and another 8, another 1 and another 8. So the 3 one is really, really weird. So technically, with this pattern that repeats infinitely, if you had the number 3,000,000 threes, it was just the number 3 written out 3,000,000 times, you could know the answer instantly. It's very fascinating. Very fascinating. I think I messed up. I think I needed 2 before, but it doesn't matter. I wrote this a decade ago. Nobody cares. So it was 10 years ago that I was doing Kiefer, apparently. And I did a Thai tea Kiefer. Oh, that's funny. I'm just taking a trip down memory lane, guys. What in the world? Oh, yeah. I was posting a scam. So somebody tried to scam. They were doing all the way back in 2010. Well, I mean, people have been trying to scam since the beginning of time. There's always been grabblers. Yeah. So, blah, blah, blah. My wedding. Here's my 4-piece 100% white silk, and I tell you, it was white. My white silk 4-piece suit that I for my or tuxedo rather for that I it was an Indian tuxedo, an embroidered silk white tuxedo from India. When it left Delhi, India, went to New Delhi, India, to Frankfurt, Germany, to Cologne, Germany, to Louisville, Kentucky. It made its way from Germany to Kentucky, and then it left Kentucky and went to South Carolina. Amazing. That's my old email address. Technically, I still check it about once a year. Sorry, guys. Memory lane in it. Man, I wrote some stuff, I tell you. My creative copy challenges were pretty good, though, in my own opinion, at least. I got some positive comments from some of these guys. Anyway, I still have that tuxedo. I'll never fit in it again more than, well, not never, but that was back when I was like able to fit in a 29. I wear a 32. I'm more comfortable in a 33, but I wanna be back in like a solid 32. I want to be 150, solid 32. I'm not trying to buy new jeans or any of that. I tell you what, super wind. All right, guys. I was trying to find my wife. She used a thank you, Creative Bear. Thank you, thank you, thank you. She used a pseudonym, so I have no idea. Alrighty, that's amazing. That's amazing. My goodness, good times. It's time. It's time. Everybody left. Every, what happened, guys? Did Owen Benjamin start streaming or something? Is that what happened? Did I just bore everybody to tears with my Steve Finkelmeyer story? You know I made it up on the spot, right? What in the world? Oh my. D Life can't be reached. Well, that was weird. Alrighty. Well, it does not appear that Owen is streaming, so fine. I'll just sit here. Go, how dare you? They all exoduced on you. I don't even know what that means, but that sounds really complicated. Um, Alrighty. Whoops. I did that twice. It's all good. Exodus. Wow. Thanks. Really? Am I a joke to you? It's all good. Oh well. I tried to give away 112 lemons, but it be like that sometimes. Sometimes it just be like that. Alrighty, everyone. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength. And thanks for hanging out. It was fun. I appreciated doing a copy challenge, which um, I know it probably wasn't what anybody expected, but I thought it was fun. The memory lane. was a little weird. But anyway, y'all have a good evening. Tomorrow is Operation Baby Landlord.